It's July 2nd, 2008. July 2nd is the day that they actually signed the Declaration of Independence. It was a death warrant. They knew that they were signing their execution order, but they did it anyway. I really, truly believe that, if you listen to what your kids come back with from school, hey, global warming is real. I gotta report you, Dad, for storing incandescent light bulbs. Just like one of those hate mongers of our founding fathers. Have you listened to what your kids are being taught in school? It's crazy. I was talking to my daughter last night. We were talking about, I don't even know how we got onto it. I was boring the snot out of her again. And I was talking about the founding fathers and everything and how America, how the dream of America is so expansive. It is so unbelievable. The story of America is so great. And she's just been taught that, hate-mongering capitalist and smokestacks. You know why Abraham Lincoln wore that big hat? Because he was burning coal in his head, and it would open up, and his head would open up, and nothing but black carbon would come out and poison the fish and the little children. We're just this close to teaching that crap in school. What you are learning in school are the facts and the dates and the names and the places and the maps and the... How many of us went to school and you were in the history and I hated it. I hated it. History test, I hated. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in, Versailles? We're looking for the date. Before yesterday? I don't know. Tell me the story. Tell me the story. Because that's what everybody is missing. The story of America. The story is endless. And instead of listening to those stories or listening to the story of the millions of Americans that have gone before, we learn that John Astor was born in who cares? We've all heard the story of Paul Revere. When did he ride? I don't really know. It was pretty close to the beginning of the Revolution. Wasn't he a silversmith or something like that? Where did he ride? I'm pretty sure it was in Massachusetts. That's the kind of stuff that they teach us. Well, let me tell you about the story of Paul Revere. And it's really not a story of Paul Revere. And I think what I would like to have you get from this story is to find yourself in the story. I don't know. Have you ever thought of being a pioneer? Of somebody who was like, Lewis and Clark, I'm going to get in a boat. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go find a river. I was flying over the Rocky Mountains this weekend, and I thought about the pioneers that took their covered wagons and their hand carts and they went over the Rocky Mountains. I wouldn't have done it because I would have gotten at the top of one mountain. I would have went, oh, crap, you're kidding me. Over that, and then I would have gotten to the peak, and I would have seen all those peaks all the way along, and I went, I'm going down this mountain, and that's as far as I go. Can you imagine? You're exploring. You don't have a map. This is before Google Images. You're not like, hey, what's it say on Google Maps? There's no GPS. You're going like into this canyon. You're like, oh crap. There's a cliff. And then you got to go all the way back. It's not like you're going down this canyon. You're like, I think I'm going to go this way. At the nearest possible point, turn around. It didn't say that in the canyon. Those people were crazy. Or I'm just too lazy to be a pioneer, which is a very good possibility. I would like you to try to find yourself in the story of Paul Revere. I don't think I would be Paul Revere. I don't think I would have ridden across the horse. Hey, the British are coming, the British are... I don't think I would have done that. You know the story about him riding, and you know where the story begins. The story always begins that he got onto his horse and he started to ride, and the British were after him and they almost shot him. To me, that's where the story ends. Where does the story begin? On this July 2nd, let me introduce you to the first guy. Maybe he's you. Maybe you haven't been introduced yet. You know the story of Paul Revere, but have you ever heard the name Dr. Joseph Warren? Dr. Joseph Warren, he was big in the Boston area. People loved him. He was a guy who would go out on the streets. He was a guy who would tell everybody he would meet, you know what? We need to secede from Great Britain. The king is not our friend. And the king said, first opportunity, you go over to Boston and you arrest Warren. You put him in jail. Well, Dr. Warren knew if you come and arrest me, he was one of the more popular citizens. You come and arrest me, you're going to have 1,000 Americans come and rally around me within the first few minutes. He was kind of a brave guy. There was a knock on his door one night, and he looked at the clock on his mantle. It was almost 9 o'clock. It was past the time that the British had ordered the streets to be cleared. So who was it? Were they coming to arrest him? Was it the Redcoats? Because nobody was on the street. Boston, you have to remember, this is a time when there wasn't a lot of noise. There were no TVs. There were no stereos. There was nothing. Most people at 9 o'clock, because you had to live by candlelight, were asleep. So it was quiet in his neighborhood. And as he walked to the door, he thought this could be it. It might be the Redcoats to come and arrest me, and I wouldn't put it past them to come at 9 o'clock when the world is asleep. So he prepared himself, and he opened up the door. He thought to himself, if they come to arrest me, all right, let's get on it. And so he took a deep breath, he set his jaw, and he opened up the door. Just outside of the door frame, two people were there. They were friends. A guy named Samuel and Jonah. Two friends, they came in, and they came in quickly, and they said, Doctor, we have just seen something. The British are all in their redcoats. They've got their muskets, and they're gathering on the beach of the Back Bay. This was a big deal because the way they were dressed, there was a ton of them, and they were ready for battle. Dr. Warren immediately thought Concord. Concord was important to the American Revolution because they had stored a bunch of guns and gunpowder. Everything they had was in Concord. And he knew at that moment that the British had figured it out, and they knew all about the cannon and the muskets and the gunpowder and the shot and everything that they had stored, and they're going to get it. And if they get it, it's over before it even begins. So the doctor said, when did you see him? He said, we just saw them. Now remember, it's in the dark of night. These guys risked their lives to go to the doctor's house and tell him. But he was a leader, and they knew he would know what to do. They said, we just saw him. It's about 20 minutes ago. It took us about 20 minutes to get to your house. We figured you needed to know. The doctor stood there for a while. And he said, all right, Joshua, Samuel, I need two guys. I want you guys to go get these two guys. Go get Paul Revere and go get William Dawes. He said, do you know him? They said, yeah. Have you found yourself in the story yet? Are you the doctor? Are you Joshua? Are you Samuel? Because I'm about to introduce two more.